Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today is a super exciting day because it is the very first opportunity that we've had here on Andy's Dinosaur Reviews to take a look at a brand new company. This is their initial release as far as kind of like widespread distribution goes. This, as you could probably tell already by the logo in the upper right hand corner, is from Dino Hazard, and it is the absolutely beautiful looking Irritator in 1/20th scale. Now this is easily going to be, and I haven't even opened it yet, but I can tell you already, this is easily going to be the best Irritator figure out there currently because it is about as accurate as it gets when it comes to an Irritator, and just overall incredibly beautiful in every possible way. You can see as far as the box art goes, we do of course, like I had stated, have the Dino Hazard logo right there, YVY down here, and then the name of the species right there, as well as an incredibly nice image of the species right here of the Irritator carrying a prehistoric species of lungfish, I believe, right there. And then when we take a look here at the back of the box, we again have the Dino Hazard logo. We also have another image from a different angle of the Irritator itself, and then some information over here, which there is actually an area on the lower half that does have the information in English, which is really cool. Which is a really nice read to give you some information on the species and all of that fun stuff. Definitely fun to read, as I just finished reading it when I initially pulled the box out of the packaging. But this looks incredible, honestly. It is one of my most anticipated releases in a very long time because there are so few figures of the Irritator, and the ones that are out there are really not all that great. They're not bad. I mean, Collect Day's got a decent one, and then there's, of course, the Mattel one, but nothing even remotely compares to what I see here with this Irritator. So let's go ahead, break this box open, and take a look at this figure. So once we open the box up, I've just pulled the contents out, and the very first thing that we have to bring in here is the base. You can see it's a beautiful looking base, kind of giving a maybe like the side of like the ocean or a lake or something. You can see it's obviously a very sandy area, and you can obviously tell that there has been some water for sure right here, which is exactly where the Irritator is coming from, which is a really cool aspect because of course the species is a fish eater, and you're going to find it, of course, near water, and that's a really cool aspect in general. And actually, you'll see why it's even more so a kind of a cool contributing factor to the overall beauty of this set here in a moment. But you can see that the base itself is beautifully sculpted, beautifully painted. You can see again like the ripples, and the ripples actually run all the way up here. You can kind of see that if I turn it sideways. There you can kind of see it. You'll probably get a better view of that when I actually get a closer look at the base, but you can see how the ripples have kind of run up onto the sandy area, the beach area of where this dinosaur is currently inhabiting, and that is as well a really cool aspect of the base. Again, a lot of realism included in the base right here. And the next addition that I have to bring in here is the fish. Now, this is a very interesting looking fish that our Irritator has just recently caught. Again, I had mentioned that this is a species of lungfish, I believe, and the actual name of the species is Equinoxiodus, or I believe that's how you say the name. Again, it's a very obscure species of lungfish that I am not too familiar with, but the figure here looks gorgeous beyond belief. Really excited to get a closer look at that as well. And then, actually, we'll put that guy down there. And then we have the Irritator itself. And wow, is this thing ever impressive here in person. You can see the overall appearance to it is just unbelievable, sporting a really nice color scheme as well. I'm a huge fan of the color scheme they've gone with here because it looks incredibly natural, but yet has that little bit of flashiness with that yellow in the face, which I really quite like. But again, the entire thing here is just so top-notch, so high quality, and just overall a very exciting addition to my collection, simply for the fact that, again, there are so few Irritator figures out there, and for us to be able to get one that is this good, it's just like the coolest thing in the world. There's honestly no need for anybody else to even make any more Irritator figures after this. I'm quite confident of that already just looking at it, because this one will be very hard to beat. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get a closer look at this initial Dino Hazard figure. So of course we're going to start with the Irritator itself and then look at the fish and the base afterwards, but taking a look at the head sculpt of the Irritator, look at how beautiful that is. That is just so insanely gorgeous as far as the detailing aspect of the figure goes. You could just see so much going on in the face area. And one thing that I straight away must say I really love about the figure is the fact that you see, like, of course, a really nice scale detail effect to the figure, but you also see kind of like a lot of movement to the skin and just a lot of texturing to the skin. And more often than not, when you get different dinosaur figures, they just kind of have like this generic type of scaly effect to the figures, but you don't actually see, like, specifically down here, you can see a lot of movement as far as like skin wrinkles and skin creases and everything in the lower jaw, and I absolutely love that. It just gives it such a very realistic appearance, and you can see more of that up here when you get into the snout of the dinosaur. Right here you can see kind of more of like the skin detail, which I think is one of the most impressive aspects of the figure. You continue to see more of that as you move up into the eye and everything as well, in the eye socket area. You can see the nostrils are sculpted beautifully. They are very nicely elaborated with a darker coloration. The eyes as well are picture perfect as far as the paintwork goes. You can see it is beautifully painted with a nice black, and then given a gorgeous red eye with a black pupil, and it all looks incredibly nice, incredibly lifelike. And then up here you can see that crest of the Irritator and how it runs all the way out here onto the snout. Beautiful looking as far as that goes as well. Really, really top notch as far as the overall appearance to this Irritator figure goes, and the coloration here on the face is very nice, very naturally applied. You can see the transitions between the colors is so smooth and realistic, and you can see just generally like alternate variations of color as you have like this really dark coloration up here, and then it runs down into the lower jaw, and you can see like alternate variations of like lighter and darker tones down here as well. The jaw is articulated, so that instantly is a really cool addition to the figure, and you can see on the inside of the mouth, the kind of skin flap over here on the side of the mouth looks great. It is perfectly painted with a very nice realistic coloration, and then it appears to potentially have been dry brushed over, which makes it look even more so realistic. If you look here from the front of the figure, wow, look at that detail inside there. That is just insane. And again, it looks like it's maybe been given a nice wash, like a slightly alternate variation of color when it comes to a wash that's been applied to make it look super lifelike. Honestly, I'm almost in awe at how nice this looks in here. You can see this side of the head as well. Again, get a really nice idea of the coloration and the detailing there in the skin flap of the mouth. You can also see the tongue inside the mouth there, and it's also been given a really nice gloss coat to make sure it shines very realistically, very lifelike. You can see the teeth as well are sculpted beautifully. Each and every tooth is sculpted individually, and I think that the teeth are painted perfectly as well with a really nice realistic coloration. They kind of have like a variation of like yellows and browns, like there is actually numerous tones of color to the teeth themselves, and I think it looks so lifelike, so realistic overall. Definitely a similar look, I would say, to kind of like a crocodile as far as like the way the teeth appear inside the mouth. Obviously not the way that they are, sculpted in. It's just like it has almost kind of like a dirty looking mouth, and I really think it's very lifelike, very realistic overall. As we start to move back here into the neck, you can see lots more really nice creasing going on in the neck region of the Irritator, as well as some beautiful coloration. We seem to have a nice dark wash applied to the figure, and on top of that nice dark wash, you have this really nice darker coloration that's like a very dark gray, maybe bordering on a black up here on the top. But you can see, again, some really nice texturing to the skin as far as like the scaling goes, but lots of really nice creasing going on. I think one of the most impressive aspects of this figure, the further down we get, is just generally showing the detailing of the skin with creases and everything throughout. It's very realistic the way that they've done that. And again, you can see a really smooth transition from that darker coloration to the lighter kind of a tan here on the underside of the neck, a little bit of kind of hanging skin here in the throat region. As we move, I have to move this around the lamp because the Irritator's got a pretty long body to it, but as we move down here into the body, you can continue to see that that scale detail looks gorgeous throughout the entire figure. You can also see that white stripe that starts here, runs up here across the shoulder blade, looks really cool. Again, just giving it that slight hint of flashiness to the figure, I would say. And then moving down here into the arm, wow, look at how beautiful that scale detail actually is here, where that white stripe leads from, and you can see the way that that dark wash has made that detail pop so nicely. You can also see some skin creases going on right here as that arm is pushing into the body. More beautiful creasing going on in the joint of the elbow right here, actually in the front of the elbow. You can see the elbow itself is present back here. And then moving down into the hand, I love how fine the scale detail becomes as we move down into the hand, and you continue to see more of that creasing going on in the arms. That's so impressive if you ask me. The fingers are incredible looking as far as both the sculpt and paintwork, and the nails as well are beautifully done. The nails are painted with kind of like an off-white and then a yellow and a brown all somehow combined, giving it a very, very lifelike and realistic appearance as far as the way that the nails appear, and they're all perfectly painted. There is absolutely no sloppiness to the paintwork that I can see on this figure in any way, shape, or form. And then moving back up into the body, you can continue to see more really nice skin texture to the figure, lots of creases again throughout the entire body. Like I had stated numerous times, it's such an impressive aspect of this figure. You can also see like some light hints of like almost like a pinkish coloration in the lower part of the stomach region right in here, and I actually see that in the tail and thigh area as well. I really like areas like that where companies will just give it an ever so slightly different amount of coloration, because it's something that you would probably see on a real living animal, so it's a very realistic aspect to add to a figure like this. As you continue to move down the body, you can see some really nice creasing going on here as this leg is pushing into the body right there, into the stomach region, bunching that skin up, and you can also see the skin stretching back here as the leg is pulling forward, beautifully showing the movement of the dinosaur for the positioning that it's in at this point in time. As we continue to run down the course of the leg, you can again see that little hint of like that pinkish coloration right there in the thigh, but also some beautiful muscle definition in both the thigh and calf region. This animal definitely looks very big, very strong overall, and you can see that displayed perfectly as far as the leg sculpt goes. As you start to move down into the foot, you can see the foot sculpt looks beautiful sculpt-wise. You have some nice scoots down the front of the foot as well as down the toes. And then you also, again, have those really nicely painted nails. You can see the nails also sport a beautiful gloss coat, just like we saw up there on the hands. But you can see that very nicely down here on the feet, again, with some really nice alternate color variation included. And the dew claw, which you can see right here, is painted, sculpted out, perfectly applied. Again, the paint is very impressive on these figures. There's honestly no sloppiness at all on this Irritator. As we start to move back into the tail, you can see the seam where the tail is connected, but honestly, I don't think that's a big downside or anything like that. It's actually something that I almost don't even notice, especially when you hold it a little further away. It's a little hard to pick up on unless you're looking for it. But as you continue to move into the tail, again, you can see that really nice scale detail has been brought out beautifully with that kind of darker wash. You can also see that pinkish coloration again, like I had stated earlier, kind of showing up there in a really nice subtle way. The paint application again is really smooth as far as the transitions between the colors, and then we continue to move out the length of the tail. You can also see that there's kind of like a nice dry brushing that has brought out the scale detail in perfect fashion yet again. As we move out to the tip of the tail, it's got a very nice, very long tail, which I really quite like. And then taking a look at the opposing side here, again, the head sculpt looks great, and we have that really nice flashy area of yellow up here on the face, which I love. I absolutely love the fact that that yellow is included. Again, it looks so natural the way that that is applied. It's honestly the coloration that now I think I'd be a little let down if I saw an Irritator in real life and it didn't look like this, because it really looks like it belongs on the animal. Moving down into the neck on this side, again, you can see some more of that really beautiful creasing that we saw on the previous side, especially in this area. I really love the creasing right there. And again, the kind of hanging skin here in the throat is really nicely present. Lots of really nice creasing as we actually reach the body here at the base of the neck into the body. You can again see that beautiful, very lightly applied white stripe that runs up the course of the shoulder blade area. Again, some more really nice creasing going on. I love that the arms are kind of tucked into the body. I feel like that's a very nice, comfortable position for where you would probably see a dinosaur like this carrying its arms. Very nice and natural looking, but that also is because you put the fish in there and he's kind of carrying the fish, so it kind of looks good without the fish, but also looks good with it. And then you can also see down into the hands, again, the really nicely sculpted out fingers and everything, you can basically just get like a really good sense of the bone structure there in the hands and everything, which is a really nice aspect to see. It's something that you don't often see portrayed so well in a model, but it is beautifully present here on this version from Dino Hazard. And you can also see again the nails are painted really nicely with numerous different tones of color and then hit with a gorgeous gloss coat, making it shine very realistically. Lots of really nice skin texture going on here in the stomach region. The scale detail, if we get nice and close, is beautiful. You can see how gorgeous that looks now that we're nice and close there. And you can also see again lots of skin wrinkles and everything, showing again some more movement within the body. You also see that little hint of like that pinkish brownish coloration right there. You can really nicely see the skin stretching off of the body now as the Irritator is taking a nice step, and the way that the leg is positioned looks gorgeous right here. I really love the kind of toes just leaving the ground and the positioning of the foot. It looks so legit as far as the way it would probably appear in real life. Again, you can see the really nice muscle tone displayed here in this very big bulky leg. Those little hints of like that pinkish brown coloration within the musculature looks great as well. And again, that calf muscle is huge. Such a very intimidating looking calf muscle right there. As we move down the course of the body, you can continue to see how that nice darker wash is very subtle with the way it's applied, but it brings the detail out in beautiful fashion. You can see the scoots down the foot again and down the toes, and the really nicely painted nails, which look picture perfect. Again, this figure is impressive in pretty much every way, whether it's the paintwork, whether it's the sculpt. Everything on this is just insanely well done. Even better than I expected it to be, honestly. And then we move out the course of the tail. Again, lots of really nice skin wrinkles. You again do see the seam right there for the tail, but yet again, I don't think it's a very big deal. Maybe something they could improve upon in the future would be hiding the seams a little better, but it's not anything that I feel like is, a very large downside to the figure. And then we continue to move out the length of the tail, and the tail looks great. Very nice curve to the tail as far as like a downward position, and really beautifully sculpted as far as both the texturing and the fine detailing goes. And then we see the underside of the dinosaur is also extremely highly detailed. You do have a cloaca present right there, so you have that anatomical correctness, and everything again just looks insanely beautiful throughout the entire figure, whether you're looking at it from the underside, you're looking at it from the side, dead on, straight above. Any way that you look at this figure, it is beautiful and easily the best Irritator figure out there without question. As we move along here, we're going to take a look at the fish quickly. And again, this is a species, I believe, of lungfish. You can see again that the sculpting and detailing aspect of the fish is beautiful. Definitely has that very much so doomed look to his face as he is being carried away by an Irritator. But the actual, again, like the texturing of the skin for the fish, look at that. That is insanely well done for something as small as this is. You can see it's not a very big figure, and the paintwork as well is beautiful. Very nice smooth transition, similar actually to the Irritator as far as like that darker coloration, and then the lighter underbelly, which is also something that is the type of aspect you'll find on, marine creatures, fish, and everything like that. Usually is a darker top, lighter underbelly. That's perfectly portrayed with this one, but then we also have some really nice flashiness to the figure as far as like this really cool red design that we have that runs all over the fish. It looks so cool and incredibly appealing as far as the flashy appearance to the fish, but also really nicely applied. Like, it's not looking like paint on a figure. It really genuinely looks like the body color of the fish. You can also see like the fins and everything here are really nicely sculpted. The scaling to the fish as well as beautiful. You can see like creasing and everything depending on the movement in the area of the fish as the fish is being carried away. Again, it looks beautiful over here. Just off the charts, incredible work here from the Dino Hazard line. That is just gorgeous as far as that fish goes. And then once we move to the actual base, again, we have this kind of sandy beach-like area where the Irritator is sort of just walking away after catching its fish. You can see a little bit of a glossy look here as the water obviously is coming up here onto the shore. You can see the tide kind of where it's rolling in and rolling back out, and you can kind of see like the remnants of the water and just the really nice wet look to that area. You can also see how the footprint has kind of been washed away already with the Irritator as it's taking a step. You can kind of see like the water has hit this area and is starting to sort of wash that area away. So you can just kind of imagine the Irritator like walking away from the water, and then the kind of tide rolling up right as the Irritator's taking a step away, and maybe some water splashing off of its feet and everything. Just a really cool scene to kind of portray in your head. Absolutely love that aspect of the base, and you can also see like the paintwork is really nicely done. The sculpt work is really nicely done. Again, as we move up here into the base, you can even see like a nice darker wash has been applied to the sandy area, making it look super realistic and super lifelike. And you can again see how like the tide has rolled in and then rolled back out. And you can see how the sculpt shows that beautifully throughout the entire base. Just really well done. Again, super lifelike, just like the dinosaur itself. And then you can see the footprints as well, showing the underside of the feet of the Irritator. It's just, again, beautiful, 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 just like the figure itself. And then the underside's just a white coloration, but you also have this really nice kind of a black rim that the base sits upon. This entire thing is just so insanely beautiful that words honestly don't describe how incredible this release is. And then to get your Irritator to stand, all you basically do is set the foot there in the footprint, and then the opposing foot in the, I guess only the area where its toe is basically sticking out, but you could just set the feet in the footprints and it stands perfectly as far as mine right here. As far as a size goes, for a length, the Irritator definitely has some pretty good size to it. You're looking at right around the 14-inch range, even though it's actually not very visible from where the camera is right now. But it's about the 14-inch range, or about the 35.5, approaching 36 centimeter area. And then for a height, when the Irritator is on the base, you can see, actually we'll go behind the Irritator, about 4.25 inches, maybe a little bit above or around the 11 centimeter range for this incredible Irritator. I cannot say that enough, just how incredible this is. For a size comparison to show you the size, here is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, our usual review comparison suspects. And you can see next to the Irritator that they the Irritator has some very, very good size to it. The Colovosaurus may not be perfectly positioned because he's a little closer than he should be, makes him kind of look like he's a little larger, but you should definitely have a pretty good idea of the fact that this Irritator overall sports a pretty darn good size. I would definitely say it's a very nicely sized, larger figure, and that's just another of the many aspects that I think make this figure even more impressive than the beautiful paint and sculpt. Again, with these figures here next to it, it really shows the impressive size overall. So this Dino Hazard Irritator 1/20th scale figure is just awesome. Absolutely awesome is the way that I would term this, because not only do you get an incredible, very highly detailed and beautifully painted Irritator, and again, the most accurate Irritator that you're probably going to find, on top of all of that, you get a really cool fish model that comes with it, a lungfish that the Irritator is carrying away, as well as a beautifully done base, so that it really creates not just an incredible model, but really creates a diorama and a scene taking place before you. And not only a scene taking place before you, but a very realistic and well done scene of something that would absolutely have happened many times in the past, of an Irritator catching its dinner, walking away from the water with it. It just really creates, again, like a really cool vision in my mind of the Irritator just taking a few steps away from the water as the tide kind of rolls up and hits the back of its legs as it's carrying away its dinner. You can almost just take yourself into the Cretaceous period and just sort of envision that scene taking place by looking at this model, and such a cool scene, and again, very realistic scene taking place before us. But the Irritator is unbelievably well done. Again, even better than I ever imagined it would be having it here in person. It is just so striking. It's honestly a centerpiece type of a model as far as like a collection goes. This is the type that you would want to kind of have front and center displayed in your collection to show off, because it's just so realistic and so well done overall. The Irritator is beautifully sculpted as it's just walking along, again holding its prey, and all of the movement and everything that would be occurring with the model and with the dinosaur at this point in time is beautifully shown in the sculpt, and then some, I would say, as far as the detailing aspect goes, with so much skin wrinkling, skin stretching, and just incredible skin texture throughout the entire figure. And again, all the creases in the skin just makes it look so lifelike, so realistic, even more so than what we get from most companies. It's just honestly unbelievably lifelike. It's like next level lifelike as far as the actual sculpting aspect of the figure goes. And then you add all of that awesomeness up with the fact that you have an articulated jaw, and then when you open the jaw, the inside of the mouth as well looks super lifelike, super realistic, and really kind of genuinely gives me like that crocodilian type feel, like I had stated, where like the teeth don't look like they're pearly white, where the inside of the mouth just genuinely doesn't look like a really nice clean area. Like you can tell there's been some flesh in there. The mouth's a little dirty looking. That's probably the type of dinosaur you would find many birds kind of flocking to sort of maybe pick out some meat from the teeth as it's resting and relaxing, because it's probably going to find some potential food in there. And again, the mouth is very realistically done. The teeth are sculpted beautifully. The inside of the mouth in general is sculpted beautifully, and everything is painted really beautifully and very realistically, just like the rest of the model. And then you have the fish. The fish as well is really cool, and honestly as impressive, I would say, as the Irritator itself, because it's super highly detailed and super beautifully painted. Really nice flashy paint scheme for both the Irritator and the fish. I really like the paint scheme of the fish and the reddish design that they've given the tail area of the lungfish. It's really cool, and again, it honestly has that I'm doomed type of a look to the face of the fish, because it's being carried away to become the Irritator's next meal. And the Irritator itself, as far as the paint scheme goes, is perfectly chosen. I feel like the coloration and the tones of color they've used are exactly what I would expect to see on a species like this, and then adding in that little area of flashiness with that yellow, which is so realistic looking on the face, and then that little slight hint of white on the shoulder area, just again giving it a little bit of flashiness, but on otherwise very realistic and duller type of a look as far as coloration goes, which is exactly what I would honestly expect to see on a animal like this. And it's all beautifully applied, very nice and realistically applied. And then after all of that, you have a beautiful base, which is incredibly well done as far as the detailing and paint aspect, applying many different tones of color to the base in the water area, making it look genuinely like the tide has just rolled up and kind of worn out that sandy area right there. And it also has that kind of glossy look so that it looks like it's wet as the water has run up there. And then you also have the sandy area, which as well is sculpted to perfection, given a nice kind of alternate coloration with like a darker wash, and just genuinely looks like real legitimate sand. So everything as far as this release goes is as top-notch as it gets, honestly. It is next level beautiful. So honestly, this is a huge recommendation from me, and definitely something that I would recommend anybody and everybody picking up. So I will include a link in the description to the Dino Hazard website. Make sure that you head on over there, purchase yourself this gorgeous Irritator, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.